You've hit play on the Screen Companion, where we'll help you pick something for movie night. Talking generally for a second, Mitch, is the wacky scientist archetype a plus for you when you see it in a movie or TV show?
I really like that trope. One of my favorite video games of all time is Sonic the Hedgehog, so I love me some Dr. Robotnik. The Jim Carrey version's pretty good. It's silly, but, still evil. That's a perfect thing.
It is.
I love Young Frankenstein. I love Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah, I love the mad scientist. It always adds another layer to the story that you can have where you can bring in weird science of some kind and combine it with a silly character. And it doesn't matter if the science makes sense. A mad scientist did it, so it works for the story.
Forgetting the greatest mad scientist of all, Professor Hubert Farnsworth.
I was wondering how long it would take you to reference that.
A man can dream.
You lasted quite a while, man. Good for you.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for a week.
Let's get into our final movie, which is Back to the Future Part 2. Mitch, what is this flick about?
Back to the Future Part 2 continues the time-traveling adventures of Dr. Emmett Brown and Marty McFly. After learning about the fate of Marty's children, Doc comes back to 1985 to pick up Jennifer and Marty and take them to 2015 to save the fate of his son from going to prison. While they're there, Marty comes up with the idea to buy a sports almanac that he can take to the past with him and make a little money. Doc quickly shuts this down, but of course, the famous villain Biff shows up as an old man, finds the almanac, goes back to 1955, gives it to his younger self, and the timeline is ruined.
I think in watching it this go around, I was surprised how much the characters feel like they're just there for the events of the story to happen around them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But that being said, I want to see if you have devil's advocate in this, or maybe you do believe this. What do you think is Doc Brown's deal? Can you set up for us Christopher Lloyd as that character? How would you describe him, and do you see any kind of change in his character or arc from the first movie to this one?
He's sillier in this one. I think he's silliest in 3, so he gets sillier as they go along. I wrote down a quote about his motivations behind the time machine that he says, "I didn't invent the time machine for financial gain. The intent here is to gain a clearer perception of humanity, where we've been, where we're going, the pitfalls, the possibilities, the perils, and the promise. Perhaps even an answer to the universal question, why?" So I think he always has the right intent, but manages to screw it up every time.
But then all he does with the time travel technology is seemingly stalk Marty's lifetime. It's a little creepy.
I've never looked at it that way, but you're right.
I think he was just ironing some kinks out, because he also has that other quote of just like, I need to stop worrying about time travel and worry about a bigger mystery. Women.
Oh yeah, I was surprised this rewatch how much they seed the third movie in the second one.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that happened. It felt like an MCU film.
The Clint Eastwood movie, both for the name Clint Eastwood and the future Chekhov's bulletproof vest, I guess. It's because both scripts were written at the same time and both films were made at the same time. It feels like it's actually one movie split up into two, and that Back to the Future 1 is its own thing.
Yeah, while I like that they incorporated stuff into the second movie that would pay off in the third, it does make the second and third ones feel too different. And 2 used to be my favorite, but now I feel like I need to go back and watch the first one because I might end up picking that as my favorite because my memory of it, I don't know if it's true or not, but I recall that being a more weighty film dealing with more philosophy and a little more emotion, Marty seeing his parents, all that stuff. where I don't really get much of an emotional center in part 2.
It's because it's too sporadic and chaotic. The other 2 movies only deal with 2 different time periods each, right? Like it's 1985, then it's 1955, then it's 1985 and 1885 in part 3. This one has 4 different time periods, right? So we have the future in 2015, we have the past, 1955, and then we have an alternative 1985 on top of 1985 prime. They were trying to cram too much into one film, and that's why it didn't feel as character-driven as the other 2 do. Not much is changing with the characters within this film. It's more about the time travel gimmick and seeing different perspectives. Seeing what the 80s idea of 2015 is going to be, which it completely was wrong.
Well, it's so cartoonish, their depiction of 2015, that I don't think they were starting from a place of trying to think about what the future was really going to be like in the same way that the art designers of Blade Runner, to some extent, really tried to imagine, like, okay, how weird would it be in the future? A lot of the stuff in this 2015 feels like it's in there just to be a gimmick, and not that they really thought it might go in that direction.
I think it's interesting that a lot of people's visions of the future in filmmaking is often constant advertising, and how accurate that actually wound up being. I was walking away from my TV and it turned on a screensaver, and on the screensaver were more ads. I couldn't believe it! A screensaver had ads. Just because it's connected to the internet, it can update it. So, good job, Roku. You're getting your money's worth, for sure.
Oh, what I couldn't believe, living in LA around, 2016, 2017, they started to build giant digital billboards in downtown, and they were so gaudy and intrusive that they were actually building them right over upper floor apartments. So you'd have this giant ad and then a couple little holes where the apartment windows, the porches, had to be able to look out. We admit you have rented this place and you need to be able to look out your window, but that's not going to stop us from putting ads and all these lights all around your window.
Wow. So we can admit we currently live in the dark timeline.
I'm going to bring that up later. We definitely live in the Biff gambling timeline.
Atari's still around. All we need is for Pan Am to make a comeback, and it's basically Blade Runner.
I did love the Jaws joke. I loved the 80s cafe. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie. Just because it's so over the top. To bring Matt Frewer back in, you got max headrooms for waiters. I love that. That's predicted, and I've been to restaurants where they don't have a waitstaff anymore. You just order off a tablet. So it's all AI. It's not a personality. It's not Ronald Reagan or Michael Jackson coming up to you and taking your burger order.
They are using AI at drive-thrus now. I haven't come across it yet, but I really don't want to.
Yeah, that's right. That's crazy. They have those smart fountain machines too now. You know, the ones where you can pick all kinds of different flavors? Apparently you can download an app and save a flavor that you've created, and it'll create a barcode, and you scan that at the actual fountain machine, and it'll make your soda for you.
Coke Zero isn't enough?
They have spicy Sprite now!
If you're white enough, Sprite's already spicy.
Did you guys try that, by the way?
No.
It's a spicy strawberry Sprite, and it actually is spicy. It tastes like hot sauce is mixed with strawberry Sprite.
Oh, no.
Who would do that?
It's a Burger King exclusive, so get it while you can.
Burger King sucks.
And you brought up Beetlejuice. Has anybody tried that Beetlejuice Fanta?
No.
It's known as the worst soda ever, and I finally got one. And yeah, it tastes like you're drinking a scented candle. It is awful. It's supposed to be haunted apple. I didn't taste any apple in it at all, but I felt like I was haunted by bad taste.
Become an active listener by joining the Screen Companion. Subscribe on YouTube, hit us up on X, and our Facebook group. Let us know your favorite episodes and what topics or films we should tackle next. Further support the host by buying his novel, Self-Recognition, a futuristic detective story, available on Amazon in print and digital formats. Now, back to the show. Getting back on track, John. What's Doc's motivation for building the DeLorean outside of what Mitch had said previously? Because I don't quite buy it. That's a line they put in just for us that are actually trying to pay attention to any motivation in this. But I don't quite agree with that. Do you think there are other reasons why he would build it? And does it sit well with you that this guy made a time machine?
I always got the impression that something went wrong in his early life and he was desperate to change it. And Marty McFly got in the way.
Well, he does have a troubled past. His family were German immigrants running away from World War I fears. They were the von Brauns back then. He moves here, he gets all of his family's wealth, and wastes it on failed inventions. In 1955, he's living in that nice mansion, but by 1985, he's living in that mansion's garage because he even burned down the mansion. Yeah, him having a time machine would be ideal for him to fix his life. The idea for the flux capacitor came from him hitting his head. So we already know it's coming out of a concussion.
What kind of sequel do you think Part 2 is? Is it more of the same, bigger equals better, or some other category?
It's definitely going for bigger equals better, hence the reason it's 4 timelines instead of just the normal 2. I don't know if I would call it a sequel, because it's same quill or a simultanequill.
A side quill.
A side quill, yeah. I guess that's probably the proper term. The future stuff is all there because of the success of the first one, and they spent a good chunk of it on that future.
As much of a bad taste as this movie left in my mouth on this rewatch, I do have to give it credit to add to your point in being a side quill.
It's Simultanequill, brought to you by your local doctor.
Okay. Simultanequill, TM, Mitch. I do really like that they play hard with it being a time travel story. They lean right into it and totally recontextualize the first film. As much as I feel like they didn't spend effort on certain aspects of the script, adding in all those details to fit the first movie took a little bit of time.
It's funny that this film could even be considered partly a remake, because the opening scene is the last scene from the first movie, but they had to completely reshoot it because they recast Claudia Wells.
Did they recast her, or did time ripples change her appearance?
Maybe. If that's the case, then the end Jennifer shouldn't even be there at the end of 2. We'll get into time loop problems, because there are a lot of paradoxes in this that just completely demolish the story even happening.
John, when it comes to naming sequels, do you prefer the simple number approach over subtitles?
It's pretty simplistic. It gets the job done, you know which one. But, like, if this was called Back to the Past or some crap, and then the last one was, like, Wild West Hoedown, Shooty McGee, you know which story you were getting into.
I feel like a lot of people don't use subtitles the right way, because even still I don't know which movie it is, you know what I mean? Transformers really suffers from that.
Dark of the Moon? What the fuck does that mean?
I don't remember what the plot is of that movie one bit. Bumblebee and The Rise of the Beasts or whatever, those are the two that I can tell from the subtitle what they are.
I'm a Star Trek naming convention guy.
Yeah.
Give me both. You know what Star Trek 2 is about because it's about the Wrath of Khan.
It's about the Wrath of Khan. You know what Star Trek 4 is about? It's about the journey home.
Yeah, they come home.
Let's go back and forth and name some of our favorite details or biggest facepalms as it relates to the depiction of 2015. Start us off, Mitch.
I like that they called out Alexa. When you get in the house, you can program it to say whatever you want. So when Marty walks in, it's like, the king of the castle has arrived. It's all voice automated, just like Alexa stuff. I'm going to say Alexa a bunch in case you're listening to it on a speaker, just so I can mess with your Alexa. The watching multiple channels at the same time.
Do people do that?
Oh, I watch stuff on my phone while I'm watching a movie. All the time.
Oh my god, Mitch, why?
Or I'm looking up facts while I'm watching. I do that. I'm guilty.
This is one of the downsides of not going to theaters anymore.
Amen. And I really miss the theater experience.
How about for you, John? Any future details of 2015 that you liked or didn't like?
Somehow they called the Cubs winning the World Series correctly. I also want to bring up that 80s Cafe because Doc Brown had a really good point about how they never get it right. Every 80s party ever, they don't get it right.
Here's another subtle reference they make to how bad the future is. He goes, go in there and get yourself a Pepsi. Here's a 50. Inflation.
Well, and then they talk about getting rid of lawyers. At first they're like, oh, that's funny, that's cool, but then you gotta wonder, well, what else has changed about the legal system that they can take care of cases that fast? What's that do to due process?
Yeah. Creating controllable weather. I wish that was a thing. That's awesome.
Was it controllable, or were the weathermen just really that good?
I think it was controlled. They set it so it'll rain for 15 minutes that day.
Okay. I got the feeling that they were just so accurate.
Maybe you're right, because Marty Jr. does turn on the Weather Channel. Why would you need it if you could control the weather?
Plus, Doc Brown makes a mention of, like, the weatherman. Too bad the Postal Service, which was another accurate description, is so terrible.
So then what was your favorite scene, Mitch?
From a filmmaking standpoint, really love the scene where old Biff is giving and explaining the sports almanac to his younger self. The way that's shot, it's all these great two shots that must have been very intricate and hard to pull off, with moving cameras and with Marty in the back seat moving around. There had to be a lot of math going on there.
And it's a great way to deliver exposition.
Yeah. This is the shortest Doc Brown explaining timelines chunk in all three movies. It's just a quick drawing on a chalkboard to explain parallel universes.
And how many subsequent alternate timeline movies and shows have done the chalkboard thing?
I'm sad that the listener can't see my face like you can, but my eyes just rolled so far back into my head. I'm so tired of it. They've already made so many of these films that you really don't have to spend that much time on it anymore. You just don't. It's a common enough trope. Yeah, we get it.
John, what do you think is the biggest misstep or problem that Part 2 has?
How does Biff know how to fly that time machine? Is it just that intuitive? Is it just that easy? It's just like, ha, let's go.
Well, I mean, to be fair, flying cars are common in his timeline.
I guess, yeah. But the time machine part?
Okay, I'm sure you guys have plenty of plot holes, but the one that really bugged me and I thought of instantly, off of that scene where old Biff steals the time machine, why does he bring it back? What purpose does it serve that he needs to leave it there so they don't know he took it? Why doesn't he just smash it the moment he's done using it?
Yeah, why would he go back to his own crappy timeline? It's the grandfather paradox, automatically, by the way, because him going back to the past to give his younger self that book erases his timeline completely, so he shouldn't even exist. So thus, he can't go back and give himself the book.
Is that why he was, like, freaking out after he broke his cane? And he's just like, oh, God, I'm old. He's, like, erasing himself from the timeline?
I guess so. Technically, it should happen, right? That's how time travel works.
You can never trust the internet too much, but I've read in a couple spots that that was the intent of that moment, and it went on a little bit longer, and then they cut that part out.
Ah.
So it was him when he leaves the top of his cane in the time machine, and he looks like he's having a heart attack. I thought he was having a heart attack, but I guess what they were gonna mean by it is that he was being erased.
Okay.
But again, like I said, if he was erased, then he can't go back in time to give himself the almanac in the first place. That's a paradox. So the film shouldn't have happened, is my point.
There shouldn't have been a timeline for him to come back to once he brought the DeLorean back.
I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Time travel isn't an exact science. As long as they stay consistent with themselves, which I think they stay pretty consistent with their own logic.
They definitely have to create their own logic, though. You're right about that.
November 12th, 1955. That was when?
November 12th, 1955. That was the date I went back. That was the date of the famous Hill Valley lightning storm.
You know your history? Very good. I'll never forget that Saturday. I just picked my car up from the shop because I'd rolled it in a drag race a few days earlier.
I thought you crashed into a manure truck.
How do you know about that?
My father told me about it.
Your father?
Before he died.
Oh, yeah, right. So there I was, minding my own business. This crazy old codger with a cane shows up. He says he's my distant relative. I don't see any resemblance. So he says, how would you like to be rich? So I said, sure. So he lays this book on me. He says, this book will tell me the outcome of every sporting event till the end of the century. All I have to do is bet on the winner, and I'll never lose. So I said, what's the catch? He says, no catch. Just keep it a secret. After that, he disappeared. I never saw him again. Oh, and he told me one more thing. He said someday a crazy, wild-eyed scientist or a kid may show up asking about that book. And if that ever happens... It's funny. I never thought it would be you.
Well, I thought it was interesting, this notion when Doc Brown says there's a 1985A that's resulted from tampering with the timeline, and that if they try going to the future, they're going to go to the future of 1985A. It made me think of this possibility that the 2015 they went to originally does still exist, that now there's just a divergence, but that they could never get back to that version of the future. They have to go back to 1955, that maybe individual time travelers have their own restrictions.
I also think it's weird how tight a timeline they gave themselves as to when they can steal the sports almanac back. Why did it have to be that specific night? Why did it have to be November 17th, 1955? You could have gone a couple weeks in the future. You had all the time in the world. They act like this is the only time. And yet they're literally sitting in a machine that gives them all the time in the universe. So if they make a mistake, they can just fix it with a time machine.
I love you, Mitch. You're totally wrong.
Oh, go for it.
Any amount of time Biff has with that book, he can write that other information down. He can start memorizing stuff. They need to get away from him before he can start making a copy in any form, be it a memory or whatever. You let it have one day, maybe he memorizes who's going to win the World Series for the next 10 years.
All right, fair. I'm going to at the same time say I don't think maybe a copy wouldn't work, because if we're following the movie's time travel logic, him betting on these different sports events would affect the future, probably change the outcome of what's in the book itself. So the book wouldn't be correct all the time, unless we go by the movie's logic of the changing newspaper.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, I like that.
Since it's an item from the future, you get to see how the changes you made in the past alter the newspaper. The only actual source that would work is the physical, from the future, almanac.
And at some point, the sports almanac changes, so there's a foreword by Biff, because he attributes all the success to it.
That would be such good time travel closure if it turns out Biff wrote the sports almanac. Oh. Just so future him could give it to his past self. Oh, my mind is blowing right now.
Well, and then the hypocrisy that Doc Brown doesn't want to let Marty change things, but Brown is changing things left and right.
I agree. Doesn't make sense. And also taking them to the future, you could just change it in the past. Right? That's what the lesson here is.
How Doc Brown treats Elizabeth Shue is awful. Oof.
Oh, yeah. Just leaves her on a bench. In the middle of the worst timeline. Did that part scare you guys as kids? The alternate 1985?
I wasn't scared, but I do remember being very affected by it. Like, I really felt the bleakness of it.
Yeah. The whole breaking and entering scene with Marty McFly, that freaked me out as a kid.
Oh, and in 2024, it takes on a different meaning. But yeah, as much as I used to like part 2 the most, because of the Biff Hotel scenes, and 1985A, what I had totally forgotten was just how ludicrous alternate 85 is presented. It reminded me of old Detroit when Clarence's gang is running amok in RoboCop.
Yeah.
All those bikers in front of the hotel, it was like they took that biker scene from Weird Science and made that an entire town. Burnt out cars, drive-bys. It was just too much. Part 2 shows what it is at the beginning when they get to 2015. You're not meant to truly immerse yourself. Like, it's all part of a production. And kid me didn't care, but adult me doesn't really want it to get that exaggerated with the future stuff or the alternate present stuff. Like, how much more dramatic would it feel if you bought into 1985 more, if it was just seemingly normal and then you have little details where Biff is the man and he runs the town? That being said, John, how has your perspective on this installment changed over time? Do you like it more now than the first time you saw it?
Controversially, I don't think I like it as much. I don't think it's aged well, because it feels jumbled. Like you said, there's too much going on.
It sucks viewing certain movies through a film school graduate's eyes. It really does.
It does.
It ruins so much.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I paid a lot of money for them to ruin my movie-watching experience.
All we got out of it was we don't enjoy certain movies anymore.
Really? I had the opposite effect where I feel like it's made me appreciate or learn to think about movies a bit more than I used to.
I have an appreciation for well-made stuff, but it's made simple films very difficult to watch because I'll just be constantly critiquing things.
It's turned simple into pejorative.
Yeah. Yes. I remember watching this movie at the Castro Theater in San Francisco.
Oh, I love that theater. That must have been great.
I've seen it twice at the Castro, actually. They played it on October 26th, 2015. Specifically because that's the day they travel to in the future. And I dressed up as Marty McFly from head to toe. The weather was perfect for all that denim. I even had a cassette tape Walkman with me, and it was great. Second time they played all 3 in a row as part of Midnights for Maniacs, if you guys ever went to any of those.
I went with you one time. I think that was The Goonies.
That's right.
And Never Too Young to Die, and there was a third movie.
Those are so much fun.
You're never too young to die.
You're never too young. You're never too young to die.
Oh, actually, Mitch, it was Adventures in Babysitting.
Wow.
I was there for the first 2 movies, but I think it was like midnight when Never Too Young to Die started, and I was like, Mitch, I'm not sticking around for all 3. And you're like, oh, it's okay, I don't need to sleep, you can go.
That sounds very me.
It goes so quick from one thing to the next. It's ironic that this movie doesn't feel like it wants to take its time with any of the scenes.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, like I wanted them to take a beat.
They never do in 2. It really doesn't. 1 and 3 definitely do a great job of taking beats, reflecting, and having the characters go through actual emotions and change. 2 is the one that is so plot-driven, and they crammed so much plot into 2. There wasn't time. Great Scott.
Like the gravestone scene. That would have been perfect for them to talk about what's going on. And I've seen some sites talk about how the theme of the movie is supposed to be Marty. He got the perfect family in the first one, but his greed got in the way in the second one, and so it cost him not only that perfect future, but also his dad's dead and his mom's got huge fake knockers. And I can't argue that. I see what they're talking about, but at the same time, I feel like it's the audience trying to pull meaning from it more than the movie is trying to give me that meaning, which is unfortunate.
I agree with that too, 100%. I don't think Bob Gale intended for that to be the underlying theme of the film, but I like it. I like hearing it.
So, I have a random asinine thought or trivia, also known as Rat. So yeah, as I said before, I haven't seen this movie in decades, and it took this watch to realize Michael J. Fox is playing his own daughter.
I don't think I caught that.
I was going to say, his genes must be very strong because they both look like him. Even his daughter looks exactly like him.
I wonder if his real kids have watched that movie and laughed their asses off.
Michael J. Fox in drag.
Yeah, it's like, oh, thank God I don't actually look like that, Dad. And how freaking cheap and lazy is that? They couldn't even do any kind of prosthetics like in Looper with Joseph Gordon-Levitt trying to look like Bruce Willis. It's just him with a stupid hat and a jacket with sleeves that are too long.
They're letting the acting speak for itself. Come on.
And he talks with a weird voice. Gee, I don't know, Griff. 2 also introduced something that separates it more from 1, and 3 has it as well. But it introduced my least favorite plot device, which is Marty McFly's anger at being called chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, I hate that.
I hate it so much. It's the one thing that I consider like a big flaw in the whole franchise, and you really couldn't have 2 and 3 be the way they are without it. But it's such a dumb, contrived plot device.
Hey, Big M. How's it hanging, McFly?
Hey, Needles.
Did you take a look at that little business proposal of mine?
I don't know, Needles.
What are you afraid of? If this thing works, it'll solve all your financial problems.
And if it doesn't work, Needles, I could get fired. It's illegal. I mean, what if the Jits is monitoring, huh?
The Jits will never find out.
Oh, God.
Come on. Stick your card in the slot and I'll handle it. Unless you want everyone in the division to think you're chicken.
Nobody calls me Chicken, Needles. Nobody.
All right. Prove it.
All right. All right, Needles. Here's my card. Scan it. I'm in.
Thanks, McFly. I'll see you at the plant tomorrow.
Thank you for using AT&T.
McFly!
Fujitsu-san, konnichiwa.
McFly! I was monitoring that scan you just interfaced. You are terminated!
Terminated? No! No! It wasn't my fault, sir! It was Needles! Needles was behind the whole
And you
thing!
cooperated!
No, I didn't! It was a
illegal.
sting
And
operation!
you
I was setting them
McFly,
up!
read my
No!
facts!
Please, no, I cannot be fired! I'm fired! Ah!
And a character that already I don't really know too much about, except he's so cool, he plays in a band and has a skateboard. For that to be a character flaw is like, how immature are you, dude?
Yeah.
That should be your flaw for one act, not multiple films.
Yeah, and it gets worse. Like, he's screwing up the timeline, and the next one he's getting into actual gunfights because of it.
At least he gets to see the consequences of his actions and live through them. That's an interesting part of 2. Everything that happened in that alternative 1985 is all his fault.
The final segment of today's show is something that we've done in the past, but not for a while, but I think I needed to bring it back because we have Mitch on here, and he is such a creative force to reckon with, which is the TSC movie mashup, where we take elements from all three films in order to make a glorious new property. John, I'm going to let you start us off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. So, my mashup, the first act is still 100% Back to the Future Part 2. But Biff can't come back to that future because he's created a new one. So they never come back. They never see that DeLorean again. And Doc panics and he realizes A, he needs to make a new one, but B, that timeline is falling apart around them. Like certain things are happening. So he needs to find future technology that he could use to put together a time machine real fast. On a trip to the Smithsonian SoCal, he finds not only the Flubber car, but the shrink ray machine. He contacts the scientists who are still alive, steals the car, and steals both those things, and flies to, I think they were on the East Coast, right? Or were they SoCal scientists also? Brainerd and Zelinsky.
Zelinsky was definitely in California. I don't know about Brainerd, though.
Brainerd's in California now, too. They put their think tank together. They go back in time together. Brainerd's marriage is falling apart, so he's also like, I gotta go with you. I gotta fix my marriage to this woman. I forgot 57 birthdays in a row, or whatever. And they all go back to the past and save the day. And they win by shrinking Biff and then making him dance with the Flubber.
Oh, the worst fate of all. Having to dance with that stupid Flubber.
Doing a mambo. Biff doesn't even know.
Flubber does mambo.
What's the title of your picture, John?
Please don't steal mine.
Oh, please tell me it wasn't Honey Went Back to the Future with Flubber.
Very close. Mine is very close to that.
Ah!
Is that what your title is?
God, I didn't really think of a title.
We'll save the best for last, which means I will go next, Mitch.
Oh, jeez. Why are you flattering me so much this podcast?
I know, I'm buttering you up so hardcore so that you'll come back very soon, so we'll see. Okay, so in the year 2000, two great inventions are revealed to the public. The Zelinsky shrink ray and Ford flying cars equipped with Flubber. Fast forward to 2015, Marty drives an antique DeLorean retrofitted with both technologies and operates McFly Medical Services, spending his days shrinking the DeLorean and flying it inside patients needing various procedures. After entering the president's urethra as part of a kidney stone operation, there are gasps at the Pentagon when Marty reports that it's not a hard mineral deposit they're dealing with, but a miniaturized bomb. Digging deeper, Marty confirms he's not the only shrunken agent in the president's bowels. Terrorists are planting multiple bombs in the commander-in-chief's colon. With less than 24 hours before the DeLorean returns to normal size, Marty will have to find the detonator and stop the terrorists, while under constant threat that any dump POTUS tries to take, or if he lets out the tiniest fart, could have explosive results that will leave a huge stain on the White House lawn. Back to the backside. Catch it, summer 25.
I wish mine had more fart jokes in it.
When you were writing this, did you just giggle the whole time?
Maybe.
I hope you live alone, because you wrote that down and then probably just giggled for like an hour straight by yourself in a room.
I think in order to have an imagination that would create such a thing, John, I think I would have to live alone.
Touché.
Mitch, please regale us with your pitch.
Mine is called Honey, I Flubbed the Future. It takes place in an alternative timeline where Doc never meets Marty McFly. He doesn't have anyone to show off his time machine to. I stole an element from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is that science conference. He shows up at one of those, and this opens up a can of cool worms, funny worms of all the other scientists you see trying to show off their inventions like you're at a Comic-Con or something. So you can throw in your Frankenfurters, you can throw in your young Frankensteins, your reanimators in the background as a side joke. But the three booths that are next to each other are Wayne, Doc, and Brainerd all together. And since they're so clumsy and so alike, they become friends, but immediately destroy all three of their booths, and their stuff combines. The time machine goes on to the past, screws up the timeline yet again by spreading Flubber around, and it becomes like a viral disease that is now spread across all timelines to everybody. And to top it off, time machine has been shrunk by the shrinking machine, and the only way to fix it is to make it grow back, use it to go back to the past, and stop themselves from ever meeting. And that's where he then, at the end, meets Marty McFly. At the end of this movie, it begins with Back to the Future Part 1.
Mitch, that is surprisingly sweet and not as sexual as I thought you would make it.
They f*** a bunch of people on the way.
Oh, for some reason, tell me if you disagree or not, but I imagine this as an animated picture.
Could work a lot better that way. Because I want so much reference humor to be in it, you could have all this stuff animated in the background.
As we wrap this up, I have to confess to you, Mitch, something that I'm glad I didn't bet John any amount of money, because I would have lost, and he would have lost, is that we thought that in the course of this episode you would mention Rick and Morty at least once, and... Sir, bravo, you made it.
All right.
Yeah, bravo, sir.
Well, to be fair, Rick and Morty comes from Doc and Marty.
I made a list of things, and you did do a few of them.
Okay, let's hear it.
I met, quote, actor, like you were going to bring up an actor, because I feel like you've met one of them.
I almost did, and I stopped myself.
This one, the second one on the list was Marty for Halloween.
But you've shown what strength of character you have, because you not mentioning Rick and Morty would be like John getting through this episode not mentioning Futurama, which he failed.
We're talking about wacky inventors, sir. How dare you?
Okay, I am going to tell my celebrity encounter story, just because screw you, John. It's one of the cool things that our film school did. They brought in people to read scripts and give you notes on it. And one of those people, and I had to sign up for him, was Doc Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd.
No way! What year was this?
This was 2008.
Oh my god, I was there then! I didn't hear about this. What the hell is this crap?
I know. So the fact that you didn't do this is very impressive to me. I thought you would have jumped on this right away.
If I had heard of it, yeah.
You would have told me, I did the same thing.
But Mitch, nobody even mentioned it at the time. How have all these years gone? Screw that school.
Agreed.
I had like 4 different people read the script out of that panel. Christopher Lloyd was the most memorable because he gave me very solid advice about the characters. Made me rewrite the script from scratch. Make them more likable. Because the whole point was to make them not likable. But you have to make something likable. Otherwise, no one's going to connect to these characters no matter how crazy or fun they might be.
Right.
The script was called Space Waste, and it was my parody of Star Trek, where instead of exploring new planets and, learning from them and creating peace, they explore and find new planets because we've overdone it with waste. And so they're space garbage people, and they're finding new planets to dump Earth's garbage on.
I remember that script. I believe I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you did, yes. I was surprised with how calm Christopher Lloyd was. He was very, just subtle.
You mean he wasn't like the characters he portrays on screen?
I pictured him being a little zany, Just a little bit.
Yeah, but by the time you interacted with him, he was what, in his 70s?
He's played Doc Brown in something since then, I know that. Some kind of appearance.
He was in a commercial. He did it well.
I think one of the facts I read was the director of Flubber also directed Back to the Future, the ride.
Oh, I've been on that ride as a kid. That was pretty nice. I mean, I waited too long. We waited like 3 hours to get on it, but...
Yeah. I've been on that a lot. I loved that ride.
John, you know how we like to make movies fit into other films? What if Flubber is a prequel to The Blob?
Oh god, it goes crazy and starts eating everybody? That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, and it turns colors.
Ooh.
Well, Mitch, I have to say, it's been years in the making, and you did not disappoint.
Oh, thank you.
You came at us with some facts and figures. You added a little bit of humor in there. Some perversion, which I always appreciate my guests doing. John certainly doesn't give me enough. Because of morals, whatever that is.
I think John was killing it on the humor level this time. He was really funny.
I just try and send Frank dick pics. Thank you, Mitch. That means a lot to me.
You try to trick him into seeing your penis.
Yeah, which isn't hard. He knows it's coming, and he still falls for it.
You've reached the end of this episode of The Screen Companion. Thank you for listening.